The second Queer as Folk reboot is out now, and given the popularity and length of the first US version, it may be easy to forget the monumental British version which came first. Russell T Davies' pioneering drama first aired in 1999, and concluded the following year after only 2 seasons. It featured breakout roles from Aidan Gillen, Craig Kelly, and Charlie Hunnam as 3 gay friends living their lives in Manchester, England. Although it was not without its fair share of controversy, the groundbreaking British show has been met with a mostly positive reception from audiences in the years since it aired. With its moments of heartbreak cleverly mixed in with its moments of hilarity, it was a frank and much-needed portrayal of LGBTQ+ lifestyles at the time. Collider video of the day. It is the lead characters who are truly the beating heart of the show. Stuart Jones, Gillen, Vince Tyler, Kelly, and Nathan Maloney, Hunnam, are thoroughly engaging from the pilot episode as we see them face many challenging moments of the course of the show. The more dramatic elements involve drug abuse and the struggles of coming out. The lives the 3 leads live are all very extravagant, and the way the show depicts them was far from the stereotypical gay characters portrayed on screen at the time. The dialogue was often vulgar and unapologetic, and the sex scenes, of which there were many, were very explicit. This was a television milestone, and garnered the show a lot of criticism. Not only were the sex scenes graphic, but the pilot also received a significant amount of complaints for a sex scene between Stuart, a man in his late 20s, and Nathan, a 15-year-old. The casual treatment of this unlawful relationship makes for uncomfortable viewing, and there has rightly been some expression of regret from many who were involved in the show. However, representing the lifestyle of an underage gay teen was an important aspect to the show as it was something that had never been properly explored on TV before. Regrets surrounding Nathan's character were not the only ones, as executive producer Nicola Schindler has also said she would have liked to have had more gay actors involved in the show. Gillen, Kelly, and Hunnam are all straight. The impact of Queer as Folk has generally been positive, with people saying it helped them express themselves and find comfort in their sexuality. It needed to be shocking in its explicit content to make an impact on both gay and straight audiences. For many, it was a first glimpse into LGBTQ+ lives, seeing characters, both minor and major, well-developed and realistic. It squashed perceived prejudices and showed the fun and enjoyable side of life, as opposed to the misery and tragedy. This was why it became so important, particularly for LGBTQ+ audiences. On the recent 20th anniversary of the show, it trended on Twitter as audiences shared their own experiences of how it helped them come out and be proud of their sexualities. Several stories of watching the show in secret circulated, and how this slowly provided people with the confidence they needed to accept who they were. Real-life friendships and relationships were formed because of Queer as Folk. The party scene and nightlife are a massive part of the show. It is focused on over anything else, and Davies drew from his own experiences to ensure they were realistic. Episodes often featured a lot of chaos and drama due to the characters' actions. Davies does not pretend that any of them are perfect people. Often, they are selfish, irresponsible and rash, but they are compelling to watch. On the flip side, each of them are fun-loving, and having their nightlife antics be such a focus in the show made it easier for audiences to relate to them. They make mistakes along the way, but remain likable and believable in how they behave. Davies did not need to make any of the characters angels, and by humanizing them he showed respect to both them and his audience. The word queer may still be considered potentially offensive, but the reclamation of the word by the LGBTQ+ community has flipped any of its negative connotations upside down. No longer is it used to cause upset, instead it is an empowering term thanks to the boldness of queer as folk. The improvement in attitudes towards the LGBTQ+ community can be traced back to this show. In an era where TV revivals are common, many fans have expressed a desire for the British queer as folk to come back, with Stuart, Vince and Nathan returning to our screens. They are greatly missed in a lot of people's lives. Davies has given a ray of hope, and not ruled out a revival even after all these years. Hunnam, too, has expressed interest in a reunion. The way the show ended certainly left room for more, with the teasing of Stuart and Vince's romance and their parting advice to Nathan. With the final scene being somewhat surreal, there is no telling what became of the beloved trio. 2 spin-off shows were pitched by Davies, but were never commissioned. The spin-offs were set to focus on some of the show's secondary characters. Instead, Davies created 2 other LGBTQ+ shows, Cucumber and Banana, in 2015, the former of which featured Denise Black making a cameo appearance as her queer as folk character Hazel. Queer as Folk proudly and uniquely brought gay culture into mainstream television, and the improved representation of the LGBTQ+ community in TV shows and movies can be traced back to this show. Much-needed discussions were brought up because of Queer as Folk, and the show found audiences worldwide when it was remade in America less than a year after it concluded. It is quite staggering that the show has left such a legacy when just 10 episodes were made. There has been a clear influence in the way LGBTQ+ storylines are handled in shows such as Looking and It's a Sin. The recently aired second reboot may prove to be just as revolutionary with its diverse and inclusive cast.